While the world was burning, one country stood tall. As cities were destroyed, borders erased, and millions of people lost their lives, Turkey was located at the heart of the warring giants, yet emerged from World War II almost untouched. No bombed cities, no thousands of soldiers driven to the front lines, no total destruction of civilians. But how did this happen? The answer lies years before the outbreak of war, in the 1930s. Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, the great commander who defeated the Anzac and British forces at Gallipoli, had foreseen the coming war. He modernized the military. He invested in industry, education, and infrastructure. And most importantly, he built regional alliances so Turkey would not stand alone. During World War I, Ataturk was one of the Ottoman Empire's commanders, fighting in the east, the west, and the south. The Ottoman Empire was fighting in the north, east, west, and south, and lost the war because of it. Seeing how fighting on too many fronts led to defeat, Ataturk signed peace treaties with neighboring countries. He even made peace with Greece, a country that had once invaded Turkey. In 1922, he had expelled the Greeks from Turkish soil. But now it was time for peace. In 1934, he signed the Balkan Pact. With Greece, Romania, and Yugoslavia, he created a shared security wall against outside attacks. Because at the time, Mussolini had declared the Eastern Mediterranean, including Turkey, to be the Italian Sea and was openly demanding territory. Ataturk responded, "If my country is attacked, I will fight as I did in the past. I will go first and 20 million people will follow me." This wasn't just a message of determination, it was a diplomatic warning. And he didn't stop there. In 1936, he signed the Montreux Convention. It banned foreign warships from passing through the Turkish Straits. Even the world powers accepted it. Why? Because Ataturk made it clear, the Straits will never again be a battlefield. The Bosporus and Dardanelles, sites of the bloodiest naval battles of World War I, were now secured. Next came the task of securing the country's southern front. The Saadabad Pact was signed on July 8, 1937, in Tehran's Saadabad Palace between Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan. These countries promised not to attack each other under any circumstances. Many nations tried to bring Turkey to their side. Ataturk used this wisely, obtaining loans for his country's development. He repaid these loans by selling goods produced in the factories he had built. In 1938, Ataturk passed away. He didn't just leave behind a modern Turkish republic. He left behind a principle: be strong, stay independent. Don't join someone else's war unless you are attacked. In 1939, as war broke out, Turkey stood in the shadow of giants. To the west, Nazi Germany. To the north, the Soviet Union. To the south, British-controlled Middle East. Everyone wanted Turkey on their side. Germany needed Turkish chromium for its war industry. Britain and the Allies wanted to use Turkish soil as a base. What did Turkey do? It said no, but sometimes it said yes. It played both sides skillfully, a masterclass in diplomacy. In 1941, Turkey signed a non-aggression pact with Germany. That same year, it renewed its neutrality agreement with the Soviets. It sold chromium to Germany, but in limited quantities. It signed trade agreements with Britain and the US. This wasn't hypocrisy. It was a survival strategy. Turkish spies going to Europe told each country, "We are with you, just give us a little more time." But in truth, they were only stalling. War had collapsed the economies of many countries. Thanks to the earlier loans, Turkey had bought modern agricultural equipment. Although Turkey was in crisis too, there was no mass starvation because food production continued. In January 1943, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill came to Adana, Turkey, to Yenice Station to persuade Turkey to join the war. A secret summit was held in a train carriage with İnönü. Churchill offered military aid, political support, and post-war power sharing, but in military aid, political support, and post-war power sharing. But İnönü approached every offer with caution. Churchill's offers were strong: planes, tanks, modern munitions, use of Turkish airspace for Allied bombing raids, a promise to protect the Straits from the Soviets. But İnönü had questions. Will this aid arrive immediately? Is my army truly ready? If we enter the war, can my people bear the cost? Churchill spoke. İnönü listened. And in the end, he said, the appreciation is yours, but the decision is ours. İnönü even used a clever trick here. He was hard of hearing and pretended not to hear proposals he didn't like. It drove the other side mad. Turkey was not ready for war, and İnönü would never drag his people into slaughter. Because Ataturk had once said, if the life of the nation is not in danger, war is a crime. Churchill returned home empty-handed. But İnönü had gained time. This was not a war, it was a victory of diplomacy. While the war raged on, Turkey shook from within. The economy weakened. Even a child once called out to President İnönü, "You left us without sugar." İnönü replied, "Yes, I left you without sugar, but I didn't leave you without a father," he meant. "You may not have sweets, but your father isn't dying on the battlefield. He's here, by your side." İnönü was cautious. Hitler had invaded Greece. He could come for Turkey next. İnönü ordered the army to prepare. But Hitler never attacked Turkey. In fact, he even offered Greek territory to Turkey, but under one condition, that they would attack the Soviet Union together. İnönü rejected the offer and said, "Our land is already big enough." In 1944, the tide of war turned. Germany began to lose strength. Turkey made its position clear. Cut off diplomatic ties with Germany step by step. Stopped exporting chromium. Opened Turkish airspace only to the Allies. The end was near. February 23, 1945. Turkey declared war on Germany and Japan. But this war had no gunfire. Turkish soldiers didn't go to the front. It was simply a statement of position to become a founding member of the United Nations and to have a voice in the post-war world order. Turkey had succeeded without fighting. So how did Turkey stay so skillfully out of World War II? With Atatürk's vision, with İnönü's patience, with diplomacy, patience, and resolve. While millions died and cities were wiped from the map, Turkey stood tall. This neutrality wasn't weakness. It was a rare victory of intelligence and strategy in history, because in the Soviet Union, 27 million people died. In China, 20 million. In Germany, 7 million. In Poland, 6 million. In Indonesia, 4 million. In Japan, 2.5 million. In India, 1.5 million. In France, 600,000. In the UK, 500,000. In the USA, 400,000. In Italy, 400,000. And in Turkey, no one died. And maybe this is one of the least told great success stories of the 20th century. Share this story with a friend who loves history. See you in the next video. Presented by History by Can.